Hey guys, so here's the notes for day one. We're going to be talking about interpreting statistics here. So we're going to use the measures of central tendency and measures of dispersion to describe data sets, and then use stem plots, box plots, and histograms to represent data graphically. Okay, so how many pairs of shoes do you own? Okay, so below is a stem plot and a histogram of a previous class's data. Can you find the mean, median, mode from each graph? Okay, this is what I would like you to do. Go ahead and pause the video and determine the mean, median, mode, if you can, for both of our stem plot and our histogram. Okay, let's see how you did. Okay, so remember the mean, what we do basically for that is we add up all of the values and divide by how many values there is. Now, our stem plot, how do we read this? If you were confused on it. Our key here tells us basically on the left-hand side, that is what we could call like the tens place. And then on the right-hand side is our ones. So like if we see 0, this really represents 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 6, 8, 8. But since we have 1 in our next one, this really represents we have 10, 10, 10, 10, 12. And then 21, 21, 22, 35, 33, and then 35. So that's what that means. Okay, so to figure out the mean, all we would have to do is add up all of our values, and you can just do that using your calculator. It is not that hard. And dividing by how many things there are. Okay, so when you add up all the numbers, we should get 224, and we divide by, there's 18 numbers total, so we get a mean of 12.4, okay? Now, going over median, we should know that means the middle number. And so here to read it, we are going from smallest to largest, so that helps. So here would be about our median, so that would be about 10, and then our mode represents the number or value that occurs most often, which it looks like to be 10 as well, okay? So looking at our stem plot, that's very easy to figure out all our data there. But if we look at our histogram, that's hard to figure out like the mean, the median, the mode, because we have intervals here, right? So we can estimate, but with our histogram, we lose those individual data points. And so that means we can't really figure out specifically. Now, if I look at the spread, and we can see the shape of it, I can see maybe around 10 and 15, that's where we're going to have our mean as well as our mode as well, and then our median. But it's hard to determine what's our answer going to be here. So it's not really possible to find all that information. We can figure out an estimate. So with a histogram, you don't really have the original data, like we definitely see in this stem plot. And you can get a good idea about the spread by looking at the shape. But we can't really get everything, right? So there's that information there. Now, just going off of, you'll notice it's easy to figure out how to write the stem plot. You put the tens in the left-hand side, the ones on the right-hand side, and you do repeat the numbers so you're showing all of the individual data. And then you do need to put down the key. With the histogram, when you're doing this, your frequency is on the y-axis, and so that interval needs to be the same. Usually, you'll probably go by ones if they're low numbers, or just depending on the frequency, you have to figure out what that is. Now, your interval then on your x-axis will also have to be the same. It has to be the same interval. So notice here we're going from 0 and then to 10. And so we go, but basically, I should say we're going from 0 to 9. And then we go from 10 to 19, 20 to 30, so on, okay? So you can see we have intervals of 10 here to represent our data. Now, let's talk about what are the advantages and disadvantages of each type of graph. Why would you want to use one over the other to display the data? Well, go ahead, pause the video, maybe contemplate what this would be. Okay, now both show spread, right? They really do illustrate what your values look like. And they just show the spread in a different way. Now with the stem graph, the nice thing, or stem plot, keeps the original data points. As I said, it actually condenses the data. That's kind of a nice thing as well. And you can find the mean, median, mode, range, everything that you need to have. Okay, but what about a histogram? So you can change the width, meaning that you can create the intervals yourself. When we are doing a stem plot, the intervals, you kind of have to go with what you have. It shows the frequency, but data is lost. So the nice part is it does show you how many of them, but not for each specific data point. And also, sometimes you might not need the actual values, and it's easier to construct and see the shape of. Okay, in our next video, we're going to be talking about box plots. So make sure you watch that, and we'll talk about all the information with those stats.